Hi, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and today I am jumping in on the resurgence of alcohol ink bandwagon to break them out and create this cool Northern Lights-ish background for this card. So I bought some Yupo paper and I'm dripping my alcohol ink. So the first color was Denim, and then that was Stonewashed, and now this is Eggplant. And I'm dripping it onto this paper, and here's some alcohol blending solution that you will see makes the alcohol inks really react. And the Yupo paper it's like a synthetic paper. It's basically kind of like a plastic. So I'm guessing the reason it works so well with alcohol inks is because this is Wild Plum, which is a really pretty purple. I'm guessing that the paper, because it's synthetic, it isn't all that porous. And so it leaves the alcohol inks with a longer open time. And so that's what makes them kind of blend together and get funky effects. But it is really cool. So I added some silver mixative there. So you have to shake the mixatives to blend them. Do not shake your alcohol inks. Believe me, I learned that the hard way. And then here's some gold mixative. Now the silver and gold mixatives are new because those will dry out eventually. But my alcohol inks are, they're at least 10 years old. So that shows you how long those alcohol inks will last if you keep them sealed up. So as you can see, I've just kind of randomly blending stuff, and there I was popping a couple air bubbles with a toothpick. And now I'm just tilting the paper to get the inks to kind of run together. And this is basically a complete experiment. I had no idea what I was going to wind up with. I knew I wanted kind of like a blue background, hopefully kind of wintry, but I didn't really know what would happen, and this was kind of the result, which is really fun and really pretty. And so the super dark color is Eggplant that I added in a little bit there, and then I'm just dabbing up some excess around the edges, and I just set it aside to dry. Now the die set I used for this was the Elizabeth Craft Designs Christmas Tree die set, and you can see there are 5 solid layers and then 5 overlay layers. And so I cut the solid layers from silver mirror cardstock and then some silver foil cardstock. And the overlay layers I cut from 100-pound white soft finish cardstock from Elizabeth Craft Designs. I was going for like sort of a white on white, kind of, subtle metallic feel. And so all you have to do is, even though that die set looks super complicated, all you have to do is just match up the sizes of the layers, and then you just put adhesive on the back of the overlay layers, like I'm doing here with my Zig 2A glue pen, and then line it up with your solid layer and adhere them together. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Not difficult at all. You could easily turn the overlay layers like into a sticker by like running them through a Xyron or using adhesive sheets on the back first before you die cut them. But I kind of liked the liquid glue for this, just so I had a little bit of freedom to make any adjustments if I needed to. But it wasn't tough to put them together at all, even though they look very intricate and super delicate. So that's how I did all 5 layers of the tree, and then the star, the overlay I cut from gold mirror cardstock, and then the base was the white soft finish cardstock. All right, so in a second here, you can see the dried alcohol ink panel. So there it is. Very cool, I thought. I love the way it came out. And I die cut that out with the Fitted Rectangles die set, the largest rectangle in that. It's also from Elizabeth Craft Designs. That gives you exactly an A2 sized card base, or front of a card base. You know what I mean? All right, so all you have to do to create your tree is layer your layers together. Layer the layers. And so I cut a snowy hillside just randomly with the scissors, also out of some 100-pound white soft finish cardstock. And now I'm using the die as kind of a frame to figure out the spacing for my grading and where exactly I want to be stamping that down. So I'm going to stamp it with my Misty using some Gina K Designs in the navy ink. I'm using my Misty because the soft finish cardstock has this really beautiful texture to it. And sometimes with some inks, like Gina K, it won't stamp perfectly the first time, especially with like really delicate images. So that's why having the Misty and stamping it multiple times, I stamped it 3 times, does a nice job of getting it solidly on there. It's gorgeous cardstock though, so I love the texture on it. So it's worth the extra stamping. Now to adhere my tree together, the layers, I am putting foam tape in the center of the 3 middle layers of the tree. And then I'm using 3mm adhesive tape on the outside edges, because my thinking was I wanted like the tree to like sort of pop up in the center and then go flat on the edges to give it a little bit of a 3-dimensional look. And it worked really well, except the 3mm adhesive tape did not want to adhere to the alcohol ink. I'm guessing because it's an alcohol ink background. I've never had any issues with it before. But it works great to adhere like the white paper to the white paper. So it did work with many parts of the tree very well. But in the end, I will use some Zig to a glue pen to adhere those edges of the branches down to the sides. And now I'm using 6mm double-sided adhesive tape to stick down the snowbank, which worked better than the 3mm. But I'll be honest, like it was kind of good that it didn't really adhere super well, because later I am going to pull that up and bump it down to give me a little more spacing between the words and the tree. And the fact that it didn't adhere super well the first time made that really easy to do. And strangely, as I left it to sit, like after I'd moved it, it adhered just great. So it might just be time that it needs to create a bond with that alcohol ink. I'm not really sure. But either way, I did take Zig, here you go, and go around the edges of the branches that were overlapping the alcohol inked background to get those to stick down better. And that worked like a charm, like no problem. So I just went along each layer, each outside edge of the tree branches to get those flattened against the background. And then I used an eraser, like a white eraser, to get any Zig to a glue pen off that might have gotten onto the front. And then to adhere the entire thing down, I used 6mm adhesive again to adhere it onto a top folding white 100-pound soft finish cardstock A2 size card base, and just trimmed off the excess. And that is the completed card. And you'll see in the picture that I did bump the snowbank down a little bit. But I loved that alcohol ink background. Like, I was amazed. I had never worked with a Yupo before, and I have to say, that stuff is cool and not that expensive. So if you have alcohol inks and you haven't used it yet, oh, you should definitely try it. It's pretty darn cool. And I just loved how Northern Lights-ishy that background came out. It's, very abstract and a little bit random. But hopefully you like it too. And if you do, please give me a thumbs up on my video and leave me a comment, because I like hearing from you. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I would also love it if you would do that as well. Here are 2 more Christmas projects that I have done in the past, so you can check those out. Thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate it. Have an amazing day.